tickles! By the way, you're cleaning up this mess, mister.
I think that this version is not anything like the version that was on Fox, but this version is really kind of true to the animated series and to the comic.
I was a fan of the cartoon and the comic book growing up, but I had been removed from it for a while. So once I got the job, I went back and I re-immersed myself in it. And it reminded me that the thing that was so unique about it, that is also unique about our show, is the tone of it.
We felt very early on that the world he inhabits needs to change, because he inhabited a cartoon world or a comedy world. There was no real threats. There was no real stakes. Now we are in a world where people die.
How can I put this? Murder. It's just not cool. Impolite!
The only thing I would possibly say is, at least in the difference between Patrick Warburton's idea of the Tick and Peter Serafinowicz's, is that Peter's version is a little crazier. I think there's a dangerous quality to his Tick. You kind of feel like, I'm not sure I should be following this guy into battle.
2 bullets, point blank, and high voltage, plus a 3-story drop, and look at you. You're as alive as a daisy.
Whereas Patrick's is much more childlike, and you just knew he was right all along.
Arthur, listen to me carefully. I believe in you. I always have.
I was obsessed with the Warburton show. And when that show ended, far too soon, and I didn't have my full Tick fix, that's when I started going back into the animated series.
Villains, I say to you now, knock off all that evil!
And then when I started auditioning to play Arthur, that's when I got really deep into the comics, rewatched all the series, and now have just sort of become a completist about every version of it,
You know what? I knew nothing about the Tick. I'd never heard about it. And of course, I immediately called my nerd friends, and I mean, there's so many people that knew about it and loved it.
I was aware of the comic book, the original comic book, and then I had seen the animated series as a kid, and I hadn't seen much of the Fox version.
I was only sort of peripherally aware of the character in my sort of like teenage and 20s and whatever. I didn't really understand how cool it was. I don't know, how sophisticated and what amazing writing.
Hey, you in the pumps! I say to you, stop being bad!
Barbara, can I get some help here?
My name's not Barbara, and I don't help criminals!
I'm so embarrassed to say I did not know anything. So it wasn't until I read the script and I was like, well, this is cool, and it's very different than any other superhero show that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'd watched the cartoon a little bit when I was younger, and I had seen the 2005 Patrick Warburton version before this. So I knew it. It was always something that intrigued me about it. I always thought it was really funny. With the sort of darker feel of everything these days, maybe accredited to Christopher Nolan or something, I don't know, but the way it's sort of gone in the last 10, 15 years, this version of the Tick is a great response to that in a comic way. We're able to kind of still have that darkness and that heaviness of these other shows and these other movies, yet able to comment on it and laugh at it and make tons of jokes throughout.
Can you fly?
Tick!
Good grief.